Chapter 2008. Chun, don't change the layout of Mirror Lake. Why is that? Mirror Lake is a cornucopia. I know. Our family's brewery uses water extracted from Mirror Lake. No, I mean the feng shui pattern of Mirror Lake is a natural cornucopia. Really? Chun Zhao was surprised too. To be honest, your luck is really good. Will the feng shui be changed by someone maliciously? Other than the gradual change of the landscape, feng shui has to be very obvious if someone wants to destroy it. We're not blind. How can we let someone destroy it? Fei Lai said. Oh, I might have found a way to go to Treasure Island, Chan Zhao said. Really? When are we going? We need to wait for the last storm of the year. However, he couldn't be completely sure right now. After all, the news came from Lila Gage. He also said that he would look for a witch who could pilot the ship. I wonder if he's found it yet. On the way, Chun Zhao received a call from Zhang Tianyi. Hey, Chun Zhao, are you home? I just arrived at my house and got out of the car. What are you doing? I've already sent the elemental fruit to Los Angeles. I'll have someone deliver it now. You didn't ask Yang Guo to deliver it, did you? He's from the Los Angeles resident office. Who else could it be? Don't play dumb, Chun Zhao yelled angrily. You know he's my informant now. Aren't you trying to expose him by asking him to give me something? You're trying to make my arrangements useless, aren't you? I don't trust anyone else to deliver such an expensive gift. Come on, send the things to my house the same way you sent them abroad. It was sent by Yangguo's wife, Xiao Longnu. Are you sure you want his wife to send it to you? Does the outside world know about their relationship? The outside world doesn't know, but I don't think you should let his wife give you elemental fruits. Why? His wife is very beautiful? Are you afraid that I'll rape a commoner girl? Come to think of it, since she dared to call herself Xiao Longnu, she must have some talent. Chun Zhao was looking forward to it. Xiao Longnu, even though it was an imitation. But, at the very least, he should have some standard. However, he hoped that Xiao Longnu would not become a steam bun. She's a dragon, Zhang Tianyi said simply. Okay, I got it. Chun Zhao was helpless. If the legendary dragon maiden came to Mingyue Villa, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Seeing Chun Zhao casually display the dragon's head in the yard, Chun Zhao's eyes widened. Xiao Longnu would probably get mad at him too. At that time, if they were to fight, it would be embarrassing for everyone. After all, Chun Zhao had a good relationship with Dragon Tiger Mountain. Chun Zhao could not kill Xiao Longnu. But as long as they fought, it was inevitable that there would be some bumps. Did anyone else follow? No, it's more convenient for her to deliver it alone. If she brought a few disciples of Mount Longhu with her, even a blind person would know what kind of treasure it is. If it gets lost along the way, I don't think you'll let it go. Who dares to snatch something from Longhu Mountain? Furthermore, it's being escorted by a member of the dragon race. Chun Zhao didn't believe it. He had seen a few Dragon Tiger Mountain disciples before. The disciples from Mount Longhu were all dragons and phoenixes among men, possessing outstanding strength. They were no weaker than the members of the supernatural organization. Plus, there was a member of the dragon race. An adult dragon was about as strong as a Shanxing state cultivator. They might not be invincible, but they were at least rare. Chun Zhao didn't believe that someone would dare to rob such a group. Even Chun Zhao had to think about Dragon Tiger Mountain's reputation before doing anything. It's safe abroad, but there are too many masters in the spiritual world in the country. Even I can't say that I won't run into trouble when I go out. That's why I said you're not ruthless enough. Break the limbs of anyone who dares to rob. After a few times, the effect will definitely be great. That's easy for you to say. The forces in the spirit world in our country are very complicated. It's not something you can imagine. Any random youngster in the spirit world could be the last disciple of some expert. Our Mount Longhu has always been kind to others, and this old man has been doing good deeds all year round. How could I kill a junior as I please? Hypocrite, Chun Zhao said in disdain. Cut the crap. I've already sent it to L.A. How do I get it to you? Forget it. Where's that Xiao Longnu now? I'll go get it. Go get it? I'll have her contact you. After hanging up the call with Zhang Tianyi, an unfamiliar phone number came in shortly after. It was a woman on the other end of the phone, and she was speaking fluent Chinese. Hello, are you Xiao Longnu? Compared to where they were meeting, Chun Zhao was more curious about whether it was really Xiao Longnu. I'm a crabwoman. You're not Xiao Longnu? That's the title that the Grandmaster forced on me. Oh, so you're Xiao Longnu? Do you still want the thing? Where are you now? I'll go find you. The two agreed to meet at a Chinese restaurant. Chun Zhao hurried out. Chun Zhao arrived at the restaurant first. Then he saw a tall, brown-haired beauty walk over. The brown-haired beauty stood before him. You're Mr. Chun? Have you seen me before? Chun Zhao studied a crabwoman. No, but you have dragon blood on you not long ago. It's not hard to tell, a crabwoman said. Akrabumon said, Grandmaster also warned me that I can't beat you. For him to say that, it means that you must have proven your appetite. That's a good analysis. Give it to me. I think you're Mr. Chun, but you need to prove your identity. This is my driver's license. The ID might be fake. Chun Zhao pursed his lips. So troublesome. How to prove it? It was like how some departments always made unreasonable requests. For example, how could you prove that your son is your son? Chun Zhao wondered how long a crabwoman had been in China for him to have gotten this bad habit. Then how do you think I should prove that I'm Chun Zhao? You can just give Grandmaster a call. Yeah, I should have thought of that. Chun Zhao clapped his hands. Use my phone, a crabwoman said. Hey, old Zhang, your granddaughter-in-law is a bit stubborn. She said that if I don't prove my identity, she won't give it to me. Xiao Long knew it's me. Give it to Chun Zhao now, and then you'll have nothing to do with him. Chapter 2009. Xiao Longnu could tell that Chun Zhao was a very troublesome person. Otherwise, the Grandmaster wouldn't be in such a hurry to get her to cut ties with Chun Zhao after delivering the gift. The Grandmaster seemed unreliable most of the time. However, when he was serious, he gave off a sense of conviction. Zhang, what do you mean? It's obvious. You're a dangerous person. Chun Zhao was still talking to Zhang, the phone under his shoulder. He took the box from Xiao Longnu and opened it. There was a fruit he didn't recognize in the box. Is this it? Is this an elemental fruit? Chun Zhao was about to take it when Xiao Longnu immediately stopped him. You can't take it out. Why? You have to eat it within 3 minutes of taking it out, or it'll explode, Zhang Tianyi said. Are you sure it won't kill you? Chun Zhao was worried about the fact that it would explode if he didn't eat it. Would it really not explode in his stomach? If a regular creature eats it, there's a possibility of it exploding. But if it's a spiritual beast or a demon that's awakened intelligence, you don't have to worry. Only one? Where's the other one? I'll give the dragon heart to the Dragon King first. I'll pay the other two. This is the deposit. Can people eat it? Chun Zhao asked curiously. I've never heard of anyone eating it. You can try. It shouldn't kill you. Zhang Tianyi sounded like he really wanted to encourage Chun Zhao to eat it. I'll be a fool if I believe you. Chun Zhao felt that he should follow a rule. If Zhang said yes, then no. As long as he followed this rule, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage no matter what. But if he took Zhang's words seriously, he might really lose his life. Do you need me to bring Yang's wife around L.A.? Chun Zhao asked. No, definitely not. Chun Zhao shrugged. Why do I feel a deep evil intent? As the saying goes, don't have the intention to harm others, but don't be defenseless, Zhang Tianyi said mercilessly. Akra, goodbye. Chun Zhao turned and left in anger. Chun Zhao bid farewell to Akrabumon and drove away. Along the way, Chun Zhao saw Sharon doing something that 99% of the people in the world would hate to the bone. Getting a ticket. Chun Zhao stopped the car beside Sharon. Hi, darling. Sharon turned to look at him. Are you going home? Yeah, are you busy? Sharon checked the time and looked up at him. 2 of the people you sent to prison last time died before they could even go to court. Did you do it? Please, I'm a law-abiding citizen. How could I do something like that? I can only say that the prisons in the United States are too dark. Just thinking about it scares me. Sharon looked at the time and stared at him. You really didn't do it? I remember that when you saw them at the police station, you said that you wouldn't let them leave the prison alive. You must have remembered wrongly. By the way, are you in a hurry? I've been checking the time. No, I'm not in a hurry. Then why do you keep looking at the time? 3 minutes are up. Sharon took out a ticket and stuck it on Chun Zhao's windshield. This is a non-parking space, and it's been more than 3 minutes. You clearly saw me pasting a ticket here, but you still dare to stop before me. Fuck. Chun Zhao gritted his teeth and stared at Sharon. You're too much. You could have warned me. I didn't have the obligation to warn you. I was going to treat you to an afternoon dessert. Can I understand that you're bribing me? Pretend I didn't say anything. Since you already said it, you should keep your promise, Sharon said matter-of-factly. Chun Zhao was helpless. Sharon wanted dessert and even gave him a ticket. She didn't know how to behave. Sharon drove her police motorcycle and followed behind Chun Zhao. The two arrived at an open-air restaurant. It wasn't their first time at this open-air restaurant. Both of them enjoyed eating desserts while looking at passers-by on the streets. Chun, you really didn't kill those two? No, they haven't been sentenced yet, Chun Zhao said matter-of-factly. Why would I kill them? If I really wanted to kill them, I wouldn't have sent them to prison first. This wasn't the prison life Chun Zhao had planned for them. Chun Zhao didn't even have time to exert any strength before he died. Do you not trust me that much? I trust you this time, Sharon said. Oh, it's rare for you to trust me so easily. In the past 3 months, a few people have died in that prison. It's the one you stayed in for a few days. LA 7th prison? Yes, they were lucky enough to stay there too. That prison isn't peaceful, Chun Zhao said weakly. I was bullied so badly there. Sharon glanced at Chun Zhao. She wouldn't believe his words. Because Chun Zhao had gone to prison because he'd helped her. Sharon was worried that Chun Zhao would regret being bullied in prison. Then, she used her connections to ask the prison guard. In the end, the guard said that on the first day, Chun Zhao had beaten up his cellmate. During lunch and dinner, he'd injured more than 10 people. On the second day, he'd purposely provoked gangs and injured more than 20 people. How could that be called being bullied badly? Sharon had never seen such an arrogant prison bully. Usually, even the most arrogant prisoners would stay obediently for a few days in prison. But Chun Zhao immediately became a prison bully that no one dared to offend. Okay, stop reminiscing about your glorious past, Sharon said, rolling her eyes. Sharon rolled her eyes and said, You've lived in that prison before. Do you know anyone suspicious in that prison? I was busy dealing with people, Sharon said, rolling her eyes. After 2 or 3 fights, no one dared to offend me anymore. I didn't find anyone suspicious either. However, Chun Zhao thought of the white nightmare he'd met in that prison. What was that white nightmare's background? Chun Zhao was very curious, but he hadn't been in prison for long that time. He'd only interacted with White Nightmare once. White Nightmare had escaped too quickly, so Chun Zhao couldn't catch her. In the end, Chun Zhao was released. By the way, help me investigate Morocco Piccolo. As Chun Zhao's cellmate, Chun Zhao felt that he might have some clues. Morocco was a frequent visitor to that prison. It was normal for him to go in and out. Chapter 2010. Who's this Morocco Bick? He used to be my cellmate. He's a frequent visitor to that prison, Chun Zhao said. If you can find him, you might be able to get some clues. Okay, I'll go look for him. You're investigating this case? We're your boss. Is there a difference? We're both cops. It's the same no matter who's investigating. Chun Zhao shrugged, but Caprice was the prison's warden. Chun Zhao felt that he had to inform her. After parting with Sharon, Chun Zhao called Caprice. Hello, my dear warden. Chun, how come you had time to call me? Caprice was a bit surprised to receive Chun Zhao's call. I heard that a few prisoners have died in your prison in the past 3 months. Does this have anything to do with you? Who told you that? It has nothing to do with me. Caprice was very sensitive and sensed something. A cop. She's investigating this. I hope it has nothing to do with you, Chun Zhao said honestly. But I know that your prison has prison guards who organize underground boxing matches at night. Don't tell me you don't know anything. Of course I know. Caprice didn't just know. She was even the founder and controller of the underground boxing matches. To Chun Zhao, the income from each match was nothing. However, for Caprice, a few $1,000s per night was still a considerable amount. Moreover, Caprice had set up a series of rules. There was a certain level of danger in the underground boxing matches. However, they weren't much more dangerous than regular boxing matches. There might not even be one in a year that had an accident. Recently, there had been a lot of deaths in the prison, but it had nothing to do with the underground boxing matches. None of the dead prisoners had participated in the underground boxing matches. Because of the continuous deaths, there had been rumors among the prisoners that it was the White Nightmare who had killed the prisoners. Whether it was the prison guards or the prisoners, everyone was on tenterhooks. However, Chun Zhao's tip-off also raised Caprice's guard. Even if something had happened in the prison, she didn't like being investigated. After all, there were many secrets in prison that could not see the light of day. If these secrets were discovered, then she would also be in trouble. Thank you for the information. It's best to focus during the battle. Terry Boyd glanced at West, who was busy making a call. West shrugged. It's our boss's call. If I don't answer it, he will think that something happened to us. Then, he will personally come over. Hello, President. Are you busy? Just a little trouble. West looked at the spirit beasts that covered the entire mountain. Am I bothering you? No, guild leader. Is something the matter? At this moment, a few spirit beasts appeared before West. A bright light flashed in West's eyes. A few spirit beasts instantly froze in midair. After that, a few vines drilled out from the ground and directly coiled around the spirit beast. I want to ask you something. Have you heard of the White Nightmare? White Nightmare? Devil? Nightmare? Looks like you don't know either, Chun Zhao said disappointedly. Whatever, it's fine. Go back to work. White Nightmare. Just then, Terry Boyd, who was beside West, turned to look at him. I know. West, who's beside you? He said he knows the White Nightmare. A temporary member, West said. He saw that we have more people and came to suck up to us. Do you want to talk to your president? Terry Boyd asked. Sure, talk to our president. West handed the phone to Terry Boyle. Hi, I'm Terry Boyd. I've heard a lot about you. Hi, Chun Zhao replied coldly. After all, they weren't close. Chun Zhao really wasn't interested in pretending to be nice. I heard that you want to ask about the White Nightmare. Yeah, you know about it? Prison, hospital, funeral parlor. These are the three places where it's most likely to appear. What did you hear about it? Prison. Chun Zhao's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that Terry Boyd really knew about the White Nightmare. White Nightmare, also known as White Beast, eats the last thoughts of the dead, Terry Boyd said. Terry Boyle said, they will also fulfill the wishes of the deceased. Of course, that's when they are able to. That's not right. I can understand hospitals and funeral parlor, but prison isn't a place where people die normally. Why would White Nightmare appear? They can sense death, especially the omens of evil people's death. To them, it's as bright as a lighthouse. And because the evil people's resentment is greater than that of ordinary people, it's extremely easy for them to turn into evil spirits. They will appear beside the evil people in advance, first eating the evil people's resentment, and then letting the evil people face death. It's not an exaggeration to say that they are the omens of death, and they often attach themselves to cats, dogs, or birds. That's why the White Nightmare nightmares love to appear in prisons. So, they can only foresee death instead of massacres? White Nightmare nightmares are kind beasts, not evil beasts, Terry Boyle said. They won't attack people on their own, much less kill. According to this person, the consecutive deaths of the prisoners in LA's 7th prison had nothing to do with the White Nightmare. The White Nightmare had appeared much earlier than the deaths of the prisoners. Oh, normal people can see it too, right? People who are about to die can see it, but normal people can't. So, the consecutive deaths had nothing to do with the White Nightmare. Okay, thank you for your explanation. Mr. Chun, don't hang up yet. Let's talk. Aren't you guys fighting? Yes, but these enemies are too weak. They can't threaten any of us at all. Mr. Chun, how did you train them? They seem to be very good at fighting, especially in large-scale chaotic situations like this. You should be asking West, not me. If West was willing to talk, it meant that he trusted Chun Zhao. If he didn't, Chun Zhao wouldn't either. Chapter 2011. Hey, Terry, when are you going to stop? West had been bringing people to poke the hornets' nest every day. They had poked a few nests of the spirit beasts over the past few days. The spirit beasts were not strong. At least, a spirit beast nest was not a threat to them. However, doing the same thing every day, no matter how thrilling it was, would be boring. It was as if turning an interest into a job would make it less fun. I want to, but I'm forcing the spirit of Juan to make a move now. Why do you have to force the spirit of Juan to make a move? Is he the best? No. The other three exist in the form of tribes or armies. For example, the number of spirit beasts we've killed these few days has reached at least 80,000, if not 100,000. But do you think we'll really be able to kill all of them? Terry Boyle said helplessly. Only the spirit of the curse can be killed. The other three are unnatural creatures, but they are born to obey nature. They are actually part of the balance. The spirit of the curse is the true unnatural creature. Its appearance is completely caused by humans. The killing and destruction for entertainment purposes have long attracted the spirit of the curse. So, killing the spirit of the curse is my ultimate goal. I still don't understand. If you want to kill the spirit of Juan, why do you attack the spirit beasts? Is it because they are easy to bully? It's one thing to bully the spirit beasts, but the real reason is to lure the spirit of Juan out. I still don't understand. Remember what Malone said to you in the beginning. Malone said that you're seriously injured, and killing unnatural creatures can make their energy return to nature. You can also speed up your recovery. But now, I can be sure that this is fake news. That's right, it's fake news. I deliberately released it, Terry said. If you were the spirit of Juan, would you let me recover? Or would you attack when I am seriously injured? But it's been so long. Why hasn't the spirit of Juan made a move? What is it waiting for? That's because I haven't shown up yet. The spirit of vengeance has been thinking that I'm hiding in a corner to recuperate, so it must be desperately looking for me. Didn't you notice? There are a lot of cultists gathering here, and they're all looking for me. I have to say, you humans are really many, and all of them are hopeless. West turned his head away. He also felt that the cultists were really stupid. All of them pursued redemption, but their redemption was to destroy the world first. What made them think that they would be saved by God if they committed the crime of destroying the world? Even West felt embarrassed. Couldn't these evil cultists be more intelligent? Even if they're using the fact that I don't like the entire human race, it's still better than destroying the world for the sake of redemption. Then hurry up and show yourself. We'll cooperate with you and put on a show. Don't be hasty. If we act too hasty, the spirit of Juan won't be fooled easily. It might even become suspicious. Where's the nest of the spirit of cursing? If he doesn't come out, why don't we go there directly? If I wanted to find his lair, would I let him stay until now? How troublesome, Wes complained. Chun Zhao, the second elemental fruit, has been sent to Los Angeles. Go and receive it. Old Zhang, I really suspect that you've cheated more elemental fruits from the Dragon King, and then only gave me 2 of them. Don't be like this. We have to trust each other and not suspect each other. It'll affect our relationship. What relationship do you have with me? Tell me the truth. How many did you ask the Dragon King for? Just 3. Do you think elemental fruits are like dragon fruits that you can have as many as you want? But I'm just suspicious. What should I do? It hurts my heart to hear you think like that. It's mainly because you gave it too easily. I really didn't. It's useless even if you kill me. I only took one as payment. Forget it. I'll have a way to verify it in the future. This elemental fruit can be eaten by any beast that has awakened magic power or intelligence or has transformed into a demon, right? Yes, it's a non-human earthly treasure. What do you mean? What does non-human earthly treasure mean? Humans are the spirit of all creatures. They gather the spirits of the world and occupy the fortune of the world. This also makes it difficult for other species to steal resources from humans. It's the same for normal beasts, spiritual beasts, and demons. That's why the world gave birth to these non-human earthly treasures. It means that humans can't use, eat, or steal spiritual fruits and treasures. In nature, humans can't eat them, but other animals can. Chun Zhao didn't know if Princess was a demon, spiritual, or magical beast. Chun Zhao had given Princess an intelligence potion before, so she should have awakened her intelligence. Princess had also used strengthening potions and demonic potions. She had a demon bloodline. A few days ago, she had also awakened an earth elemental talent. You see my Princess Ursa, right? Yes. Why? Princess awakened an earth elemental talent a few days ago and can control the power of the earth. If I give her an elemental fruit, will she get another talent or strengthen her original earth elemental talent? I don't know. I don't know much about elemental fruits. Let her eat it. She really won't die, right? Chen Zhao asked, still worried. Anyway, I've never heard of anyone dying from eating an elemental fruit. It should be safe. Chen Zhao glanced at the lazy bear sunbathing in the yard. He considered giving Princess a try tonight. Chen Zhao had many pets at home, but he only dared to give them to Princess. Walter was also a hybrid, but he hadn't awakened talent. Chen Zhao was afraid that something would happen to him. White Snow was the same. Although it had been strengthened, it didn't have a talent. As for Beelzebub and the others, they weren't animals or beasts. They were demons. They were just projections in this world in the form of animals. For example, Amon, his projection in this world was a giant whale. There was also the resurrected Lika Gatsberia in the underground laboratory. They were both Beria's subordinates, but their forms were worlds apart. Then I'm relieved, Chen Zhao said. Oh, what else? If anything happens to my pets, I'll go to Dragon Tiger Mountain and kill their guardian beast. Chen Zhao, can you not be so hooligan? You guaranteed it, so you should take responsibility, right? Even if I take responsibility, I don't think so. Chapter 2012. It's Little Dragon Girl again. Let's get down to business. Zhang Tianyi's tone suddenly turned serious. I have a favor to ask of you. Favor of me? What is it? It's not a big deal. Just help me beat up the delivery disciple. Are you kidding? No, I'm not kidding. My grand disciple's cultivation method is called the Rui Sutra. It has a flaw, which is that it's extremely powerful. It's no problem for him to fight 10 people at the same level. Fighting 10 people is a flaw? Do you have any other flaws like that? Give me a dozen. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding either. Do you have some misunderstanding about the word flaw? The Rui Sutra's power is an advantage, but it's also a flaw. You have to be defeated at every level. The so-called Rui means that you have to be willing to do it. Why do I have to do this? You can do it too. The Rui Sutra trains the heart. My grand disciple knows that we're worlds apart, so even if I defeat him, he'll think it's natural because I'm a senior and he's a junior. How can he train his heart when he's in such a state? Zhang Tianyi said, but you're different. He's so arrogant that he thinks he's invincible among his peers. If you defeat him now, his realm will advance by leaps and bounds. Why should I be the bad guy? Chen Zhao said, I won't do it anyway. If someone else could do it, I wouldn't be begging you. Among my grand disciples, none of them can defeat him. Even a few disciples who are qualified to inherit the position of Celestial Master can't do it. Even among the elders, there are very few who can match him. Now, unless we ask a few old guys to come out, almost no one can stop him. You made me an enemy out of nowhere? How could you come up with such an idea? I'm begging you. Right now, his state of mind is unstable, and he doesn't even know what kind of cultivation method he's practicing. He always thinks that his awesomeness is because of his 1 in a million talent. In fact, although his talent is not bad, it's far from 1 in a million. Even among his fellow disciples, there are many who are more outstanding than him. Why don't you just tell him that the reason why he's so awesome is because of his cultivation technique, not his talent. What he wants is to temper his state of mind, not to directly destroy him. If we tell him the truth, it will directly destroy his pride, and he will be completely crippled. Then are you sure that I won't destroy him if I make a move? No. It's not like he hasn't lost before. Although this Rui Sutra is awesome, it's far from being invincible. In the end, it still requires a sufficiently high cultivation base. How far do I need to go? I just have to defeat him, right? No. As long as you can't kill him, then beat him to death. Are you sure? As long as there aren't any sequelae, just hit them. That's what you said. If I break him, you can't blame me. I said it. Zhang Tianyi agreed straightforwardly. Are you sure that your disciple isn't the son of your enemy or something? You agree to this, right? Since you're begging me, I'll reluctantly agree. What's so hard about beating people up? Chen Zhao said casually. But are you sure your disciple won't really treat me as an enemy? I'll just explain it to him after he breaks through. Okay, Does he know that I'm a delivery person this time? No, I haven't told him yet. Call him to the suburbs. I'll give you a place. Tell him to go there so that it'll be easier for me to beat him up. Oh, what's his name again? Yifeng Miao. This name was definitely the male protagonist's special name. He was now following behind Zhang Tianyi's disciple. He had already followed him for half an hour. Even from male's perspective, Yifeng Miao was so handsome that he had no friends. Of course, this also increased Chun Zhao's urge to beat him up. In fact, Yifeng Miao had also noticed that Chun Zhao had been following him. He could also feel Chun Zhao's murderous aura along the way. Yifeng Miao didn't know who Chun Zhao was, but someone who could release murderous aura toward him definitely wasn't an ordinary person. Yifeng Miao still pretended to be ignorant and continued walking toward the place his grandmaster had given him. He guessed the identity of the person following him. At the same time, he was also on guard. At the same time, he secretly called Zhang Tianyi. Grandmaster, I think I'm being followed. What? You're being followed? Who's following you? Is it a spiritualist from North America? I'm not sure. He's very far from me. I can only guess that he's Asian. Then be careful. Also, don't lose the thing I told you to give me. That thing is very important. I heard that many people in the country want to snatch it. The people who are following you are probably from a cult in the country. Zhang Tianyi's acting was very good. He didn't reveal any flaws. Got it. Yifeng Miao glanced at Chun Zhao, who was far behind him. To be honest, Chun Zhao's tracking skills were really bad. In the past, when Chun Zhao followed others, he mostly relied on the night or flew high in the sky. This way, even if others sensed his aura, they wouldn't be able to determine his location. But it was still daytime. Chun Zhao couldn't fly, so he could only follow on foot. It was reasonable for Yifeng Miao to discover him. As he walked, Yifeng Miao thought of a plan. He tried to shake off Chun Zhao, but he realized that although Chun Zhao wasn't very good at tracking, he was very fast. However, his speed was quite fast. He tried to shake him off several times, but to no avail. It seemed that he could only fight. Yifeng Miao had an idea. Holding a yellow talisman between his fingers, he chanted, "The wind hides the white clothes. The yellow water hides the red dust. The cloak concealment spell." At some point, Yifeng Miao disappeared before Chun Zhao's eyes. Chun Zhao was surprised. How did the kid disappear? Chinese spells were indeed troublesome. His shadow, I couldn't find the kid's sight. Chun Zhao didn't know that the cloak concealment spell could erase all traces in a short time. It was as if the caster had disappeared from the world. No spell could find him. Even Zhang Tianyi couldn't find any traces of Yifeng Miao, let alone Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao had already arrived at the place where Yifeng Miao had disappeared. He looked left and right, but didn't see Yifeng Miao. Chapter 2013. No way. He ran away just like that? If he really ran away, he'd lose all his face. At that time, Zhang Tianyi, that old guy, would definitely mock and ridicule him. Chun Zhao had already opened his small world completely. The small world enveloped everything within a radius of 1,000 meters. But he still couldn't find any trace of Yifeng Miao. Chun Zhao knew that he was nearby, but he just couldn't find him. Just when Chun Zhao thought that Yifeng Miao had escaped, suddenly, an aura descended from the sky without any warning. Chun Zhao raised his head and saw many burning yellow talismans flying in the sky. Immediately, Chun Zhao felt his head sink, as if something heavy had landed on it. Chun Zhao staggered 2 steps, and a burning yellow talisman floated before him. Chun Zhao was stunned. He stared at the yellow talisman before him in shock. The yellow talisman suddenly turned into a yellow turban warrior. Left hook, right hook, uppercut, warrior cleaves the mountain. Chun Zhao didn't know which way was north after this combination of punches. The yellow turban warrior didn't exist for long, only a few dozen seconds. But as soon as it disappeared, Chun Zhao heard Yifeng Miao's voice. 9 dragons clasp. 9 yellow talismans landed before Chun Zhao. Then they turned into 9 dragon-shaped cyclones. One of the cyclones wrapped around Chun Zhao's neck and turned into a metal clasp. Chun Zhao reached out to break the metal buckle on his neck, but the other 2 dragon-shaped cyclones immediately wrapped around his arms and also turned into metal buckles. Chun Zhao felt the clasp on his neck tighten. The clasps on his arms were also pulling his arms to the sides. They were quite strong, but it wasn't very effective against Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao didn't use his full strength, afraid that he'd scare Yi Fengmiao away. Just then, Yi Fengmiao seemed to think that the situation was set. He revealed himself before Chun Zhao. "Sir, who are you? Which sector are you from?" Yi Fengmiao looked at Chun Zhao proudly. "Hand over what your grandmaster told you to bring, and I'll spare your life." Chun Zhao was going to play the bad guy today, so he obviously had to act like one. "You're already in my hands. How can you let me live?" Yi Fengmiao sneered at Chun Zhao, his eyes filled with disdain. Chun Zhao looked at Yi Fengmiao. To be honest, Yi Fengmiao wasn't led astray. His values were still rather upright. At least, when Yi Fengmiao had the upper hand, he didn't go all out. He also had a sense of propriety when he made his move. It was just that since young, he had always been the center of attention, so it was inevitable for him to be a little self-righteous and condescending. Chun Zhao really didn't want to be the bad guy. No matter how you looked at it, Yi Fengmiao had the fate of a main character. However, since he had promised old man Zhang Tianyi, he had to at least put in some effort. "Do you think you can catch me?" Chun Zhao shook his arms with all his might. The metal buckles on his arms broke instantly. Yi Fengmiao's pupils constricted as he retreated, casting his spells at the same time. Mount Tai is the prison. The ecliptic subdues the demon. Yi Fengmiao's talent was undeniable. He was currently using an ecliptic path spell. Although the ecliptic Tao was born from Taoism, it did not belong to Taoism. It was a school of its own. The path of the ecliptic was good at divining the stars and fortune, and was also good at subduing demons. The people of Huaxia often talked about the auspicious day of the zodiac, and the zodiac referred to this ecliptic magic technique. However, the current ecliptic lineage was already lacking in disciples. Yi Fengmiao had once obtained an ecliptic path treasure when he was young. He also obtained an ancient book which allowed him to learn ecliptic path magic. Furthermore, the inheritance of the ecliptic Tao emphasized on talent the most. If one didn't have enough talent, they wouldn't be able to learn it even if a secret manual was placed in front of them. As Yi Fengmiao unleashed her spell, it formed a square cage around Chun Zhao. Seeing that Chun Zhao was trapped, Yi Fengmiao heaved a long sigh of relief. He had never seen anyone who could shatter the 9 dragon buckle with just a vibration. If he hadn't reacted in time, he might have really died in the hands of this guy. Just what sect did this guy belong to? He actually had such an unfathomable cultivation. Looking at his age, he seemed to be only 1 or 2 years older than him. If they were to confront each other head-on, he would probably suffer a crushing defeat. Chun Zhao reached out and grabbed the bars of the cage. The bars weren't made of metal, wood, or stone. It wasn't a normal cage. It was formed with the power of Mount Tai. It was invulnerable to weapons and water and fire. "You're a prisoner now. Do you want to tell me who you are?" Chun Zhao twisted his neck and looked at Yi Fengmiao. There was also a ninja suit hidden in his spatial ring. The original plan was to pretend to be a Japanese ninja and attack him. That way, he wouldn't have to show his face in public. In the future, if Yi Fengmiao wanted to take revenge, he could go to Japan to find him. However, he didn't even have time to change before they started fighting. Chun Zhao crossed his arms. "I want to know how long you can maintain this spell." Light flashed across Yi Fengmiao's eyes. 3/4 of an hour. "But in these 3/4 of an hour, I can attack you, but you can't do anything. Do you think you can withstand my attacks for 3/4 of an hour?" Chun Zhao rubbed his chin and thought. "How long is 3 minutes? Oh, right, it's half an hour, right?" Yi Fengmiao snorted, thinking that Chun Zhao was teasing him. "Looks like you won't know fear if I don't teach you a lesson." Just then, Yi Fengmiao's phone rang. Yi Fengmiao glanced at it. It was Zhang Tianyi. "Xiao Yezi, are you okay?" "I'm great. Grandmaster, I've already caught that person. I'm asking about his background." "You caught him?" "Yes, I used ecliptic demon suppression to trap him in the cage." "Come, let's video call. Maybe I know him." Zhang Tianyi knew that Chun Zhao was definitely going easy on him. However, it would definitely be interesting to see Chun Zhao being trapped by his grand disciple's spell. He had to take a screenshot and save it to humiliate Chen Zhao in the future. But Chen Zhao also heard the conversation between Yi Fengmiao and Zhang Tianyi. How could he give Zhang Tianyi such a chance? Boom! The ground shook. Yi Fengmiao almost lost his footing. He saw that Chen Zhao was punching the cage. Chen Zhao's first punch didn't have any effect. But what was with that earth-shaking tremor? Yi Fengmiao stared at Chen Zhao in shock. Chen Zhao estimated, "Looks like it's tougher than I thought. If Zhang Tianyi used this move, I'd probably have to use all my strength to break free." Luckily, Yi Fengmiao isn't that old man. Chen Zhao punched the cage again. This time, he was 10 times stronger than before. Boom! The cage collapsed instantly. Before Yi Fengmiao could react, Chen Zhao had already grabbed his neck. Divine Emperor of the Nine Heavens. Chapter 2014. Yi Fengmiao was completely frightened. Ecliptic demon suppression had been broken. It wasn't like ecliptic demon suppression hadn't been broken before, but in the past, it had always been broken by the opponent's techniques. He had never known that the ecliptic demon suppression art could be destroyed through brute force. Today, he had truly broadened his horizons. Yi Fengmiao was extremely fast. Seeing Chen Zhao grab him, he immediately cast Heavenly King's possession on himself. When did Yi Fengmiao become so strong? He felt like he could tear everything apart. But he'd overestimated himself. When he tried to pry open Chen Zhao's palm, he realized that his strength was useless. Even with Heavenly King's possession, he couldn't move Chen Zhao at all. I said, "Hand over what that old turtle gave you, and I'll spare your life." Chen Zhao purposely said this for Zhang Tianyi to hear. Yi Fengmiao hadn't hung up yet. Zhang Tianyi was still on the phone. Chen Zhao snatched Yi Fengmiao's phone and opened the video call. "Old turtle, do you want to see how I kill your disciple?" Yi Fengmiao felt like he was about to suffocate. Chen Zhao's power was too great. Waves of pain came from his neck. He'd never seen someone who dared to provoke his grandmaster like this. This was not a provocation behind his back. It was right in front of Zhang Tianyi. This guy's guts were boundless. He also dared to provoke Zhang Tianyi like this. Then he'd definitely dare to kill him. This made Yi Fengmiao's limbs turn cold. In the past, no matter what kind of enemy he'd faced, Zhang Tianyi would always stand out to protect him. But this time, Zhang Tianyi was thousands of miles away. Zhang Tianyi couldn't do anything. Yi Fengmiao's mind suddenly cleared up. He had to save himself now. His grandmaster couldn't save him anymore. If he couldn't save himself, then he would be dead. Thoughts spun in Yi Fengmiao's mind. Possibilities popped up in his mind one after another. But he eliminated them one by one. Finally, he thought of an idea. Sky Demon Disintegration Technique. Yi Fengmiao roared. Immediately after, Yi Fengmiao's aura surged. Just then, Chen Zhao felt a boundless pressure coming toward him. In that instant, Chen Zhao was furious. What a terrifying power. But the next moment, Chen Zhao woke up. What the hell? This wasn't a power strong enough to scare Chen Zhao. It was basically a type of spiritual magic. And this was not some sky demon disintegration technique. Yi Fengmiao shouted like that to scare Chen Zhao. The great demonic disintegration technique was a desperate technique. Exchanging life force for power, the effect could range from several times to dozens of times. However, even if Yi Fengmiao's power had increased by dozens of times, he wouldn't be scared by Chen Zhao. In reality, what Yi Fengmiao had just used was the Shining Dragon technique of the Ecliptic Tao. The name of the Candle Dragon skill sounded very powerful. In fact, the Candle Dragon skill had no offensive effect at all. The Candle Dragon skill was to give the enemy a deceptive illusion. To put it bluntly, it was mental magic. It made one think that they were facing an illumination dragon and not a human. And Yi Fengmiao's strategy worked. He really scared Chen Zhao. However, this effect was too short-lived. Chen Zhao woke up almost instantly. Yi Fengmiao was surprised to see Chen Zhao wake up so quickly. The last person to wake up in such a short time was Zhang Tianyi. But this man couldn't be compared to his grandmaster. Chen Zhao's expression darkened, because he really felt that it was quite embarrassing. He'd been tricked by an empty fort. "I'm going to kill you." Chun Zhao gritted his teeth and stared at Yi Fengmiao. Yi Fengmiao didn't speak. After breaking free, he immediately cast a spell to escape. Earth escape. Yi Fengmiao's figure disappeared from ground. Chun Zhao's eyes glowed. He could feel Yi Fengmiao's aura moving rapidly underground. Chun Zhao punched the ground with all his might. Rumble. With a loud sound, the ground within 100 meters collapsed and cracked. Yi Fengmiao had thought that he'd escaped, but he soon realized that he was in trouble. The ground had been shattered by Chun Zhao. There were cracks everywhere, making it impossible for him to continue using Earth Escape. Yi Fengmiao could only burrow out of the ground. He held a yellow talisman in his hand and scribbled in the air. The yellow talisman started burning. Spirit of the heavens, spirit of the earth, old Lord Taishang, show yourself. Lend me your body and aid me in my cultivation. Destroy my traitor and spread my virtue. Yi Fengmiao could only force himself to fight Chun Zhao. Zhang Tianyi was watching the battle between Chun Zhao and Yi Fengmiao. Chun Zhao wanted Zhang Tianyi to see how he was bullying his disciple. Seeing Yi Fengmiao use treasure-seeking 3 pure ones, Zhang Tianyi couldn't help but slap his forehead. Treasure-seeking 3 pure ones was a superior grade spell. In Taoism, the 3 pure ones referred to the 3 supreme gods. In the eyes of cultivators, the 3 pure ones referred to 3 types of qi. In ancient times, it was written as qi. The 3 qi were Tai Qing, Yu Qing, and Shang Qing. It was referring to the innate qi, chaotic qi, and nature qi. As for the many Taoist spells, they seem to be related to the gods, but in fact, they borrowed the power of nature. For example, Yi Fengmiao's treasure seeking 3 pure ones. Basically, it was using Khanate Qi from Tai Qing. Humans had Khanate Qi, so did the world. If it had been an ordinary opponent, this spell would have been just right. But now, his opponent was Chun Zhao. This was not an enemy that a normal spell like treasure seeking 3 pure ones could turn around. In Zhang Tianyi's opinion, Yi Fengmiao needed a more radical spell. He might not be able to defeat Chun Zhao, but he had a higher chance of protecting himself. Yi Fengmiao borrowed the Khanate Qi from Tai Qing and spat it at Chun Zhao. True Samadhi Fire. Chun Zhao was really shocked when he heard the name True Samadhi Fire. He didn't dare to take Yi Fengmiao's fire head-on. However, Chun Zhao had an absolute advantage in speed. He circled to Yi Fengmiao's back in the blink of an eye and kicked his butt. Piss off. Yi Fengmiao fell to the ground in a sorry state. The kick was neither light nor heavy, but he couldn't even straighten his back. You bastard, Yi Fengmiao cursed. I'm a bastard? You've never seen me more of a bastard. With a flash, Chun Zhao appeared before Yi Fengmiao again and gave him a big slap. Ah! Yi Fengmiao covered his face and took 2 steps back. Hand it over, or I'll let you die in a foreign land. Chapter 2015. Chun Zhao suddenly felt that dying in a foreign land wasn't cruel enough. Do you know what American prisons are like? Chun Zhao didn't even need to say anything. Yi Fengmiao had already started imagining things. Yi Fengmiao's treasure-seeking 3 was very ineffective. It was just as Zhang Tianyi had predicted. The treasure-seeking 3 pure ones were not suitable to deal with an enemy like Chun Zhao. Seeking treasures from the 3 pure ones was to borrow Xiantian Qi, chaotic Qi, and nature Qi. And the biggest use of borrowing these 3 was to make his own spells sharper and release some spells that he couldn't release in the past. However, Chun Zhao didn't want to compete with Yi Fengmiao in spells. If it was just spells, Yi Fengmiao was much better than Chun Zhao. But they weren't competing in spells now. They were competing in combat power. Chun Zhao's combat power was much better than Yi Fengmiao's. Yi Fengmiao couldn't even hit Chun Zhao. No, more accurately, Yi Fengmiao couldn't even release a complete spell. Chun Zhao didn't give him any time or chance. It was like a fighter and a gunman. The gunman had to take out his gun first and then load it, but the fighter wouldn't give him the chance. Of course, Chun Zhao didn't plan on killing him, so he knew when to stop. This was on the premise that Yi Fengmiao wouldn't die. Other than that, there were no other restrictions. Yi Fengmiao was also stubborn. He'd been beaten into a pig's head by Chun Zhao. but he still wouldn't take it out and wouldn't lower his head to Chen Zhao. It looked like he was already half dead. Chen Zhao didn't stop. He continued beating Yi Fengmiao. Just then, Zhang Tianyi yelled in the video, "Enough, stop. You give him the thing." "Grandmaster, I can't. The thing is important, but not as important as you," Zhang Tianyi said seriously. Chen Zhao pouted. This old guy was using his favor to improve his relationship with his disciple. What a jerk. He was the one who told Chen Zhao to beat up his disciple. Yet, he still pretended to care about his junior. What a detestable face. Seeing Zhang Tianyi's pitiful expression, Chen Zhao really wanted to beat him up. Yi Fengmiao still didn't want to admit defeat. It wasn't about the thing anymore. His stubbornness and his pride did not allow him to admit defeat. Yi Fengmiao felt a lump in his chest. Yi Fengmiao's breathing quickened. The aura on his body also became stronger and stronger. Zhang Tianyi raised his eyebrows. Breakthrough? He broke through just like that? Zhang Tianyi really didn't expect this. He had originally thought that after this setback, Yi Fengmiao would need to return to the mountain to settle down before he could make a breakthrough. He didn't expect Yi Fengmiao to break through so quickly. Yi Fengmiao also felt that he was different. His magic power was increasing at an alarming rate. "I won't admit defeat. I will never admit defeat." Yi Fengmiao suddenly roared hysterically. His eyes were bloodshot, and the aura on his body was multiplying. "I did not lose." Yi Fengmiao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and took out a yellow talisman. "Again? It's almost time for my meal. I don't have time to waste with you. Can't you just hand it over?" Chen Zhao was getting impatient. Chen Zhao charged forward, grabbed Yi Fengmiao's wrist, and lifted her up. One of Yi Fengmiao's hands was in the air, but he was unprecedentedly confident. His other hand didn't stop casting spells. He even let Chen Zhao grab his arm on purpose. His left hand was already waiting for Chen Zhao with a huge gift. The sky seemed to darken, especially early today. The sun hadn't completely set just now. But now, the sky suddenly darkened. Ecliptic Miezong. Yi Fengmiao's palm suddenly slapped Chen Zhao's face. A giant covered in talismans appeared behind Yi Fengmiao. The giant was called Miezong, a god in the ecliptic system. From Earth, the trajectory of the sun in the sky, the path that the sun took was called the ecliptic. After the sun set, Miezong would drag it to the end of the sea. One day, when the sun no longer rose, it would be the day Miezong completely destroyed the sun. Thus, the giant Miezong was also a symbol of destruction. Miezong's palm slapped toward Chen Zhao. The moment Chen Zhao was hit, a huge impact occurred. Miezong's attacks were also filled with destructive power. Every time he attacked, there would be a violent explosion. Yi Fengmiao didn't think that Chen Zhao could beat him now. He had successfully summoned the giant Zongmie. This spell was the most powerful spell in the ecliptic path. In fact, Yi Fengmiao believed that there was no spell more powerful than the ecliptic annihilation spell. Chen Zhao was thrown into the air by the attack. Boom, boom, boom. Giant Zongmie attacked Chen Zhao 3 more times in the air. Chen Zhao fell to the ground. Yi Fengmiao was delighted to see Chen Zhao in such a sorry state, because now the situation had been completely reversed. Right now, he was the one in charge of life and death. Chen Zhao stood up slowly. Yi Fengmiao was not in a hurry to attack. Instead, he looked down at Chen Zhao. "Is there anything else you want to say now?" Chen Zhao tore off his tattered jacket. "I'm sick of it. This game isn't fun." Chen Zhao looked at the phone he'd snatched from Yi Fengmiao and crushed it. Zhang Tianyi, who was on Mount Longhu, felt his heart skip a beat. He cursed inwardly. "Don't go overboard." Zhang Tianyi quickly called Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao glanced at his phone and turned it off. "Let's talk one last time. Give me the item and I'll leave." "Beat me first," Yi Fengmiao said proudly. To him, Chen Zhao was already at the end of his rope. He had no other choice. Just like in the past, his opponents would fall before him one by one. Chen Zhao took a deep breath and looked at Yi Fengmiao and the giant behind him. "Do you really think you can beat me with this?" "The truth is obvious. I've won." Yi Fengmiao looked at Chen Zhao proudly. "Fine, if you think so, let's begin." Chen Zhao shrugged. "Yeah, kill him." Yi Fengmiao didn't plan to show mercy this time. He felt that Chun Zhao wanted to kill him, so it was reasonable for him to kill Chun Zhao. But Chun Zhao had disappeared. Did he run? Yi Fengmiao was surprised. Chun Zhao had run too fast. This disappointed him. He wanted to see how strong Miao was. He didn't think that the arrogant Chun Zhao would be so cowardly. But Yi Fengmiao didn't see how Chun Zhao had escaped. However, giant Mie Zong kept looking up at the sky. Chapter 2016. What was he looking at? Giant Zong Mie shouldn't be conscious. Yi Fengmiao was confused. He also looked up at the sky. Most of Yi Fengmiao's spells were of the ecliptic branch, but that didn't mean he believed in the ecliptic. He knew very well that giant Zong Mie wasn't a real god. He wasn't an ancient god that had existed in history. He had never truly existed, but that didn't stop him from being powerful. Yi Fengmiao suddenly saw something in the night sky. It seemed to be a star or a shooting star. It was dragging a flaming tail. That thing seemed to be falling toward him. Yi Fengmiao tilted his head and watched for a minute. Gradually, he felt that something was wrong. That thing really seemed to be falling toward him. Yi Fengmiao didn't have time to prepare. The falling speed of that thing was simply too fast. When that thing came close, Yi Fengmiao finally saw what it was. It was Chun Zhao. Yi Fengmiao was completely confused. How did Chun Zhao fall from such a high place? How did he appear so high in the sky in the blink of an eye? Boom! Falling from the sky, Chun Zhao smashed into giant Zong Mie. There was a loud bang, accompanied by a destructive shockwave. Yi Fengmiao was sent flying. Giant Zong Mie took the direct hit from the shooting star. His body pierced hundreds of meters through the forest and then lay on the ground, dead. There was a hole in his chest. His body was gradually dissipating, returning to the world. Yi Fengmiao's head was bleeding. He stood up with difficulty. He looked very wretched. His arms, body, and face were covered in dirt and blood. Chun Zhao looked at the forest that giant Zong Mie had swept through. There was a shocking burn mark on the ground. Chun Zhao stood where giant Zong Mie had disappeared and looked at Yi Fengmiao, who was staggering over. Have you heard of a palm technique that falls from the sky? Madman. He was a madman. This was like a person jumping down from the 30th floor in order to kill his enemy, wanting to smash his enemy to death. But Chun Zhao had succeeded, and he was completely unharmed. Yi Fengmiao didn't know what to say. Yi Fengmiao calculated how much power he had left. Could he summon the giant destroyer again? Do you think I'll let you summon that ugly thing again? Chun Zhao grinned. Yi Fengmiao took a deep breath, his eyes still filled with stubbornness. If you dare to resist again, trust me, I will definitely crush your balls. The stubborn Yi Fengmiao finally gave in. Any man would have given in to such a threat. Yi Fengmiao took out a box. However, he hesitated whether he should throw it to Chun Zhao. After all, if Chun Zhao went back on his word after getting the item, there was nothing he could do. Yi Fengmiao looked at Chun Zhao with sparkling eyes. Don't worry, I'll definitely keep my promise. Chun Zhao smiled sincerely. Yi Fengmiao took a deep breath and finally threw the box to Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao opened the box. It was indeed an elemental fruit. I've given you the item. Can I go now? No. Chun Zhao suddenly smiled evilly. You want to break your promise? No, I'm not breaking my promise. Chun Zhao waved his finger. My previous condition was that you take this out and I won't make things difficult for you. But it's different now. I only promised that I won't crush your balls. You asterisk shoal? When Chun Zhao walked out of the forest, he finally exhaled in relief. Old Zhang, it's done. I've already taught your grand disciple a good lesson. Chun Zhao, you asterisk shoal, Zhang Tianyi cursed. If anything happens to my grand disciple, I won't let you off. I'm asking about your ancestor. Why are you cursing me? You told me to do this. Do you believe that I won't go back and kill your grand disciple? Don't be like this. I'm old. I can't control my emotions. Fuck, seeing your face, I really should kill your grand disciple. How is he now? I ripped off all his hair, broke his hands, crushed his shoulder blades, broke 3 of his ribs, and crushed his left knee plate. You're too cruel. What's a small injury to you? Don't tell me you can't heal him. Zhang Tianyi somewhat regretted asking Chun Zhao for help. Chun Zhao really did as he asked. As long as he couldn't die, he would beat him to death. I can understand you hurting him, but why did you rip off all his hair? Do you know that women aren't the only ones who are jealous? Men have it too, Chen Zhao said honestly. Yes, Chen Zhao was jealous of his handsomeness. Such a handsome man should be punished by justice. I agree. Zhang Tianyi suddenly changed his stance. You're even jealous of your grand disciple? Any man who's more handsome than me is my enemy. I don't care if he's my grand disciple or not. You're so bad, old man. You might not believe it, but he's still a virgin. How is that possible? With his looks, even I believe it if you said that his pursuers are stronger, unless he's impotent. But when I fought him just now, I felt that he was full of energy. It doesn't look like he's impotent. Plus, his actions are normal. He doesn't look gay. When he entered the sect, I told him that he can't get close to women before mastering his martial art. Otherwise, he'll die suddenly. Really? Of course not. I've never heard of any martial art that requires virgins to practice. Don't they say that you have to maintain your virginity? That's in wuxia novels. You actually believe that? I suddenly feel so happy, Chen Zhao said, taking pleasure in Zhang Tianyi's misfortune. You haven't seen this brat. The female outer sect disciples of Mount Longhu are throwing flirtatious glances at him all day long, but he's been suppressing it all day long. At night, he's secretly having sex. He thinks no one knows. Fuck, you're too dirty. You're the king of filth, peeking at your grand disciple shooting. If this guy knows what you've done, he'll definitely be corrupted. Chen Zhao was completely impressed by the old man's bad taste. It's because he's so handsome. Tell me the truth. Did you really ask me to beat him up to train his mind? Or are you just jealous of his handsomeness? Don't doubt my professionalism. I'm a professional as a grandmaster. Chen Zhao suddenly changed his tone. What? I recorded everything you said just now. Chapter 2017. When Chen Zhao left the mountain, he saw the figure of a giant dragon. The aura was familiar. It seemed to be Xiao Longnu. Oh, her real name was Akrabumon. However, Chen Zhao really couldn't remember her real name. It was easier to remember Xiao Longnu. Xiao Longnu didn't notice Chen Zhao's gaze. She flew through the sky in her original form. Then he called Zhang Tianyi. Old Zhang, did you call Xiao Longnu? I told her to collect Yi Fengmiao's corpse. Zhang Tianyi's vicious mouth was always harsh. Speaking of which, if there are giant dragons in the west, are there dragons in the east? Chen Zhao was curious. Yes and no. You're playing with the stream of consciousness again? Just tell me directly. Yes or no? Just as you think, there are no dragons like the giant dragon clan. I really don't like talking to you. If you don't like talking to me, then why are you calling me? If I don't call you, then I'll call your disciple. Fine, fine. How can you be like this? How can you bully a junior? What right do you have to criticize me? Who gave you the confidence? Do you want me to tell you or not? Fine, tell me. The dragons in China are divine beasts. They're formed from the qi in the rivers and the essence of the world. Then those flood dragons, scale dragons, and carps jumping over the dragon gate aren't real dragons. Flood dragons can really turn into dragons, but they have to become the river god of a river first. For example, the flood dragon you killed last time. After becoming a river god, it kept merging with the water qi and shed its acquired body, finally turning into a divine dragon. As for other scale dragons, there really aren't any. The possibility of carps jumping over the dragon gate is even smaller. How can they turn into dragons after jumping? They don't even taste good. What if the carp becomes a spirit and becomes a river god? How can there be so many ifs? There will always be a few mutants in this world, and there will always be exceptions. However, exceptions are exceptions. If one group succeeds, it doesn't mean that the entire group will definitely succeed. For example, you're so awesome right now, but you said that all humans are like you. Is that possible? Zhang Tianyi said disapprovingly. There are also familiar mythological beasts such as Phoenix and Kylan. They are all born from the essence of heaven and earth. For example, Phoenix is born from the light of the sun shining on the earth. So Phoenix is also called the royal bird. Kylan is born from the essence of the mountain spirit. So Kylan is the king of all beasts. So you're saying that the legends about those mythological beasts are basically fake. Most of them are fake. Of course, some myths were modified to be more in line with the understanding and knowledge of mortals. After hundreds or thousands of years of evolution, they finally became the myths that we know now. Then what about those ancient beasts in the legends? For example, the dragon giving birth to 9 sons is also fake. So these mythological beasts can't be killed, right? They're not completely unkillable. Wait, Chenjiao, don't be rash. Mythological beasts may not be the strongest, but they represent the supreme will. When you see them, you should kowtow to them first. Don't always think about fighting and killing. Have you ever kowtowed to a mythological beast? Yes. When I was at the peak of my luck, I saw the master of the Great Swamp, the mythological beast by Zhe. Zhang Tianyi was not embarrassed at all when talking about his shameless past. He even sounded proud of himself. Did you get anything in return? Of course, but the condition is that you have to make him feel good. Things are different now. Back then, I could flatter him all sorts of things. Now that I'm arrogant, I can't lower myself. You can't, but I can. Introduce that mythological beast by Zhe to me. What's the point of introducing you? I can't even find him. Didn't you say that he's the master of the Great Swamp? Go to the Great Swamp and find him. The Great Swamp is a legendary place. Do you think it's your backyard? People without great luck won't be able to find it. By the way, what happens if I kill a mythological beast? That's a great cause and effect. For example, the divine beast by Zhe. He's formed from the wind and clouds, and he also symbolizes auspiciousness and longevity. At the same time, he also has the ability to bless his descendants. But if you kill him, you'll end your line of descendants. This isn't a curse, but it's cause and effect. Chen Zhao shivered. Does the benefit you get have something to do with what he symbolizes? I've been blessed with the health and safety of my descendants, Zhang Tianyi said seriously. Chen Zhao was intrigued. This was good stuff. Then what do dragons, phoenixes, and qilin symbolize? I don't know, but they have an auspicious side and a dark side. So, don't kill a mythological beast presumptuously. What you gain might not be as good as what you lose. Will the Western dragons be fine? I've killed quite a few dragons. It's fine. As long as you think you can even wipe them out. You old thing, stop egging me on, Chen Zhao cursed. But the next moment, he changed his tone. Is it possible to create mythological beasts artificially? It's possible when you reach a certain level, but it'll be meaningless by then, Zhang Tianyi said. For example, you're so rich now. If you think about asking for this and that, you've already surpassed the level of what you used to dream about. I feel like I'm pretty awesome now. Can I do it now? No, I'm still far from it. Then forget it. Chen Zhao wasn't too surprised by Zhang Tianyi's answer. When he got home, he already missed dinner. Of course, he still kept his portion. After dinner, Chen Zhao called Princess over. Princess, look at this. Princess's IQ was about the same as a 10-year-old. But with her knowledge, she was still confused about elemental fruits. Princess reached out with her paw to take the fruit. To it, since Chen Zhao had placed the elemental fruit in front of it, it must be for it to eat. Chen Zhao didn't stop her. He watched as Princess stuffed the fruit into her mouth. The fruit was the size of a fist, but before Princess, who was the size of a small truck, it was nothing. Princess, do you feel anything? Princess sat on the ground and rubbed her stomach. Then she looked at Chen Zhao in confusion. Had she not digested it yet? Chen Zhao was confused. Princess didn't change at all. Chen Zhao waited for a while and asked, still nothing. Chapter 2018. Was it fake? Or did something happen, but Princess didn't feel it? Chen Zhao started to think about it again. But on second thought, when Princess obtained the power to tear the earth, she knew how to use it directly. It was like instinct. If there was some change this time, she should notice and understand it directly. Whatever. If there was no change, then there was no change. Chen Zhao was still a little disappointed. Of course, he wasn't disappointed in Princess. Fei Lai, I'm going to cultivate. I'll be back later, Chen Zhao said to Fei Lai, who was playing with the children in the living room. Don't shoot down the government plane again. Last time, Chen Zhao had shot down an Air Force plane. It was reported on the news the next day, but the military explained that there was a mistake during training, which caused the plane to crash. Chun Zhao and Fei Lai had been watching the news and happened to see the news. Chun Zhao had said casually, "Isn't that the plane I shot down last night?" Then Fei Lai knew what Chun Zhao had done. "Chun, if you really want to shoot it down, bring the wreckage back. Then fix the shell and put it in the yard for the children to play with." Chun Zhao patted Princess' head beside him. He appeared half a meter away instantly. But at that moment, Princess actually appeared beside him. Chun Zhao was stunned. The moment Princess appeared, her huge body fell down. The princess was waving her limbs and howling nonstop. Chun Zhao hurriedly pulled her back. "Princess, why are you here?" Chun Zhao put Princess back on the ground. He looked at Princess in confusion. With his speed, even if Princess could really fly, she couldn't catch up to him, right? Unless... Chun Zhao looked at the princess again. Unless she could teleport. Chun Zhao took out a ball and tossed it in his hand. "Princess, catch." With that, he tossed the ball over the cliff. Princess wasn't a dog, but her personality was similar to one. She also liked to play with her family. The princess moved again and instantly disappeared from where she was standing. The next moment, she appeared in the air, opening her mouth to catch the ball. However, it had miscalculated, and the ball still flew out of its bite range. Roar! Princess fell from the sky, roaring. Chun Zhao caught Princess again. Although teleportation had brought miraculous things to the princess, it had also put her in danger. It still couldn't control this ability well. Once it teleported into the air and didn't use it continuously, it would directly fall from the sky and bring about great damage. "Princess, can you jump continuously?" Princess tilted her head and looked at Chun Zhao, as if he found it hard to understand. Chun Zhao scratched his head. How should he explain this? Chun Zhao thought for a moment. His body flashed, and he appeared dozens of meters away as fast as he could. "Come, Princess." Princess also flashed and appeared beside Chun Zhao. But this time, he didn't go to pick up the princess. Instead, he flashed again and appeared dozens of meters away. Looking at the falling princess, he called out, "Come, Princess, come here." In her panic, the princess flashed again and appeared beside Chun Zhao. Good job. Continue." Chun Zhao still didn't pick up Princess. He kept moving forward. The princess began to get used to the process and rhythm. About 10 minutes later, the princess had already teleported 200 times. She was starting to get tired. Chun Zhao could clearly feel her exhaustion. It seemed that she couldn't teleport infinitely. Princess returned to the ground and started to recover quickly. Chun Zhao realized that she could absorb large amounts of spiritual qi from the ground. Soon, she recovered her energy. After familiarizing herself with her ability, she started to enjoy it. She was very excited. Although the ability couldn't be used for long-distance travel, it was enough for Princess. At least, she really liked this new ability. Just then, Zhang Tianyi called again. Chun Zhao felt that Zhang Tianyi was just bored and called to argue with him. First, he said that Chun Zhao was too ruthless and that his disciple couldn't get out of bed for a year. Chun Zhao didn't believe it. He was a doctor. He knew how to make people lie in bed without losing half their bodies. To put it bluntly, Zhang Tianyi just wanted to get some benefits from Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao wouldn't go along with Zhang Tianyi. Chun Zhao still wanted to get some benefits from him. Just as Chun Zhao finished chatting with Zhang Tianyi, another call came from an unknown number. "Hello, are you Mr. Chun?" "I am." "Who is this? Why can't I get through to you?" "It's busy." Sorry, I was talking to a friend. May I know who you are?" "I was introduced by Mr. Lila Gavich. He said you're looking for a witch." "Huh?" Chun Zhao immediately answered. "You know I'm looking for a witch, right?" "I know. You're looking for Treasure Island, right?" "Since you know, can you take me to Treasure Island?" Chun Zhao asked back. "Do you know what price I have to pay to find it?" The witch on the other end asked. "I don't know. Tell me your conditions. It's fine as long as they're suitable." In history, a total of 3 witches led the way for pirates or adventurers. They found the legendary Treasure Island, and they all lost their lives. After a moment of silence, Chun Zhao said, "So, do you reject or accept? I need a piece of demonic gold, an extremely powerful evil spirit, a gray eye, and $10 million. I don't have a problem with the 10 million US dollars you want, but your first three conditions put me in a difficult position. Is there demon gold in this world? Also, the extremely powerful evil spirit that you mentioned, what kind of powerful is it? And the gray eye, what's that? Actually, Chun Zhao had demonic gold. To Chun Zhao, demonic gold was the most useless thing. At the very least, Chun Zhao could go to hell and get as much as he wanted. The second condition was an extremely powerful evil spirit. This was a very general explanation. What did extremely powerful mean? Was it extremely powerful in the eyes of this witch or in his eyes? Moreover, what Chun Zhao didn't understand the most was the gray eye. He'd never heard of it before. Demonic gold exists in this world. As for how you get it, that's your problem. The extremely powerful evil spirit I mentioned has to be at least a disaster level. Chapter 2019. What's the disaster level? Chun Zhao often heard people call it a disaster level. However, there wasn't an exact number for it. It was just a concept. Chun Zhao had even killed a guy who called himself a disaster level. In reality, although the guy was bad, he was far from a disaster level. He was only slightly stronger than militants, and his targets were mostly ordinary people. People like that definitely couldn't reach the true disaster level. Plus, he had to be an evil spirit. Where could Chun Zhao find a disaster-level evil spirit? Pamela was a banshee now, so she should be one. But Chun Zhao couldn't hand Pamela over, right? There are 3 in China: Mount Tai Ghost King, Mount Mang Ghost King, and Tiandu Ghost King. There are 2 in Europe, Princess Spirit and Nether Wanderer. Africa has a cursed spirit. It's the only known disaster-level evil spirit in the world, the witch said. The witch said, you just have to destroy any one of these and then use the soul container to collect their soul fragments. The witch paused and said, there is also the ashen eye. Among ordinary humans, there's a kind of eye that can see ghosts. It is called the yin-yang eye. On the contrary, there is the ashen eye. Some souls that wander the world can see things called shadow monsters. This kind of soul has the ashen eye. Your requests are getting more and more ridiculous, Chun Zhao said gloomily. The first and fourth requests were a piece of cake for him. If Chun Zhao needed demon gold, he could use it to build a castle. Chun Zhao's money was almost enough for him to build a house. However, the second and third requests were really making things difficult for him. Madam, I can pay you more and remove those difficult conditions. How about that? Mr. Chun, you have to understand that the price I have to pay to help you find a treasure island is my life. Compared to my life, I don't think my request is too much. After saying that, the witch hung up the phone. Buddhist duo, are you looking for help again? I'm done, but I don't have much hope. Buddha duo looked at his sister who had just entered the room. Azinduo, how's the investigation going? The 3 ghost kings of Huaxia are impossible. Not only do the 3 ghost kings possess terrifying power, but they also have an army of evil spirits. Their territory is the land of the dead. The living have to take great risks to even enter their territory, let alone kill them. Moreover, they have certain connections with the Huaxia government and the Huaxia supernatural world. If we attack them, it will be no different from suicide. Jacinder's face was extremely gloomy. Obviously, this was not an outcome that they could accept. What about the soul of the European princess and the wanderer of the netherworld? Is it possible? The princess's spirit has always been regarded as the holy spirit of the royal family. To harm the princess's spirit, one must first face the British government and the royal family. The difficulty is not much lower than the 3 ghost kings of Huaxia. Azinduo shook her head. As for the wanderer of the nether, it is said that no one has ever been able to find him. He will only appear when he wishes to appear in front of others. Then, when he appeared, were there any signs or a pattern? There are no patterns or signs at all. He seems to appear at random. What about the one in Africa? Is it possible? The situation in Africa is very complicated right now. Various unnatural forces and the Nature Guardian Alliance are fighting, but the spirit of Juan has never appeared. There are even some rumors in the cult that it leads. It's hard to tell whether it's true or not. Azinduo looked at her sister. There are many Buddhists. Even if we can find any one of them, even if we have divine gear, it will be very difficult. I think we should find outsiders. I'm also looking, but the few people I contacted after I explained my request, almost all of them call me a lunatic. Although the one I contacted just now didn't call me a lunatic, he also responded with a very shocked attitude. Africa? Chun Zhao pondered. Chun Zhao remembered that when West reported to him 2 days ago, he had said that they were going to deal with the spirit of Juan. Just then, Fei Lai said, Chun, I'm going to sleep. Aren't you going to cultivate today? You go first. I'll make a call first. Chun Zhao called West. West, did anything happen today? We found the spirit of Juan's nest. We've been preparing for the past 2 days. Tomorrow, we plan to sneak into the nest and end this war. Oh, do you need my help? No, we can do it. Okay, be careful. Chun Zhao's mind raced. The spirit of Juan? The spirit of Juan that West wanted to deal with matched the witch's description. However, Chun Zhao didn't ask too much in case West became suspicious. If he didn't ask, he wouldn't know where the nest was. It seemed that he should find some time to go to Africa. When Chun Zhao returned to his room, Fei Lai had already changed into her new clothes. Chun Zhao felt all the blood in his body expand. He went up and rubbed Fei Lai. Don't change. You have to take it off anyway. Chun Zhao and Fei Lai always liked to play with different styles. It helped stabilize and maintain their relationship. In Fei Lai's cloakroom, there was a compartment for all kinds of sexy clothes. Chun Zhao liked this kind of game and never got tired of it. Sometimes they could play for an entire night. Chun Zhao's hand groped around naughtily. Were you acting today? I'm the judge. You're my prisoner. Chun Zhao, I want to play your game too. I think you humans call this role-playing. Belial's voice always appeared at inappropriate times. However, everyone got used to it. Chun Zhao was no exception. Now, Chun Zhao was used to playing with Fei Lai while communicating with Belial in his mind. Of course, most of their interactions were bare-chested. My queen, I want to ask you something. Chun Zhao was exercising with all his might. What do you want to ask? Do you know about the gray eye? Yes. Tell me. Satisfy me first. I don't like to talk about other things when I'm doing business. Chun Zhao was speechless. Are you confusing business with other people's business? Chapter 2020. You can tell me now, right? Chun Zhao had spent a lot of effort to feed Belial. Gray eyes is actually a type of demon bloodline, but people with this bloodline are usually hidden. Only after death and the soul leaves the body will the power of the bloodline appear. Demon? But I heard that people with gray eyes can see shadow monsters. What's going on? Do you know the meaning of gray eyes' existence? Belial asked. I don't. What's the meaning of gray eyes' existence? Existence was existence. What meaning was there? Did you have to say that existence was reasonable? If it was according to this point of view, it would be impossible to make sense of anything. The true master of the Ashen Eyes is a demon called Desolation. Desolation is a demon created by the Demon King, the King of Gluttony. Then they should be subordinates of the King of Gluttony. No, the King of Gluttony created them to eat. Yi Zichen said. Eat? You mean the King of Gluttony wants to eat them? No. Belial shook his head. Belial shook his head. In hell, the most famous gourmet would be the King of Gluttony, Beelzebub. He's eaten everything, including his secondary demon king. Chun Zhao's face twitched. He glanced at Belial. Do you call that a gourmet? Don't get caught up in my description, Belial said coolly. But that's just Beelzebub's personality. To him, there's nothing he can't eat. But one day, one of his subordinates told him that there's something he hasn't eaten before. Chun Zhao looked up at Belial. Clearly, the main point was coming. That demon subordinate of Beelzebub accidentally entered an alternate dimension and devoured some of the creatures there, Belial said calmly. Belia said calmly. Then Beelzebub remembered it. He tried to find that alternate space, but to no avail. Later, he thought of a way. Based on that subordinate demon's description, he created the Withered Tribe. The Withered Tribe has the ability to lock onto that alternate space. Then, Beelzebub successfully found that alternate space through the withered tribe's ability. And then, Beelzebub swallowed half of the alternate dimension. Half of the shadow monster you were talking about also died. Beelzebub swallowed them all. Chun Zhao shuddered. The king of hell was unimaginably scary. To create a race for food, and in order to eat, it directly devoured half of the space. How big is that alternate dimension? Probably a few times bigger than the human world. Chun Zhao's jaw dropped. It was several times bigger than the human world, but Beelzebub had swallowed half of it? Just how big was the king of gluttony? Of course, it's not that exaggerated. Although it's big, it's not as big as you think it is. However, this is its ability. If it thinks it's necessary, it can swallow the entire alternate dimension. The reason why it didn't do that is because it thinks that the shadow monsters in the alternate dimension taste good. It hopes that they can restore their numbers and eat them again. How much time did he spend? About 1,000 years ago. Chun Zhao didn't dare to imagine if this guy set his eyes on Earth and humans. Would he do the same thing? For a bite of food, he worked hard for 1,000 years and even created a race. Chun Zhao didn't know that he wasn't a gourmet, but he definitely deserved the title of top foodie. Are you thinking that Beelzebub will target humans? I can't help but worry, especially after hearing your story. The mortal world is the main world. The laws of the world are very complete. It's impossible for Beelzebub to go over. Plus, humans aren't rare. At least for us demons, there will always be humans who believe in us, who will sacrifice their own kind to us. So, to us, it's not too difficult to eat humans whenever we want. Isn't it inappropriate to talk about eating humans in front of humans? You're the one who wanted to talk about this. Fine, let's change the topic. Don't you want to know the follow-up story? There's a follow-up story. More accurately, it's not a story, Belias said. Beelzebub created the desolation with humans as the blueprint. So the desolation is very similar to humans in all aspects. As a promise with the king of gluttony, the desolation returned to the human world as it wished. The king of gluttony's conditions were also very clear. He could let them return to the human world, but the next time he wanted to eat them, the desolation would still have to sacrifice its power. However, the remaining shadow monsters from the alternate space hated the desolation because of the king of gluttony. It's an unforgettable hatred. Shouldn't the person they should hate the most be the king of gluttony? They also hate, but what can they do against the king of gluttony? They can't do anything. No matter how angry they are, they can't affect the king of gluttony at all. The king of gluttony's power is not something they can resist, so they can only target their hatred on the desolation race. Velia paused before continuing. Although Beelzebub is the demon king of hell, he's still very trustworthy. He used a lot of effort to send the desolation race back to the human world, but when they returned, they found themselves facing the revenge of the shadow monsters. A large number of the desolation race were slaughtered. This is karma for attracting the king of hell. However, the shadow monsters are creatures from the alternate space after all, so the desolation race was able to breathe in the end. They were not completely wiped out. After that, they mixed their blood with humans to continue the desolation race's legacy. The shadow monsters never gave up on killing the descendants of the desolation race. They seem to be able to lock onto the descendants of the desolation race, then trick them into the alternate space and kill them. Speaking of which, after Beelzebub heard this news, he was very regretful. He shouldn't have sent the desolation race to the human world. However, he could send the desolation race to the human world, but he could not bring them back to hell. He did not even have the ability to protect them. But if the king of gluttony can create one desolation race, he can create a second one, right? There doesn't seem to be much meaning for the shadow monsters to hunt down the descendants of the desolation race. As long as Beelzebub, the king of gluttony, still exists, the shadow monsters will never be able to escape the tragic fate of being shrouded by the demon king of hell. Chapter 2021. That's not the case, Belia said. Belia said, even if he was the king of gluttony, he couldn't just casually create a race. He wasn't a god. For him, creating the Wither tribe was his greatest achievement. He couldn't create another one. At least, it would be very difficult, because creating a whole new race is not easy even for kings of hell like me and him. So you're saying that if the lonely race is wiped out, the shadow monsters have a high chance of escaping the king of gluttony's threat? Indeed. Are the lonely race really that rare now? Unless the Withered Desolation clan is dragged into an alternate dimension and killed by the shadow monsters, they will always be reincarnated. Their bloodline is not in the body, but in the soul. Because of this, the inheritance of their clan's bloodline is so troublesome. If they really reproduce through sexual intercourse like ordinary humans, even the shadow monsters cannot kill them all. Then how do they produce offspring? Chen Zhao asked curiously. The process is very troublesome. You won't understand even if I tell you. So you don't have the gray eye? No, only the king of gluttony might have it. Of course, even I can't be sure. Should he contact the king of gluttony? Chen Zhao sank into deep thought. Chen Zhao wasn't afraid of facing the king of gluttony. After all, even if he did, he would only say that it was a projection of the king of gluttony, like Samuel. Moreover, it would only be his familiar and wouldn't be a threat to him. Chen Zhao was basically familiar with how to communicate with the demons he wanted to communicate with. However, he could only confirm a certain category. For example, if Chen Zhao wanted to communicate with gluttony, he might only communicate with a subordinate, not the king of gluttony. Usually, the stronger one was, the stronger the desire when communicating would be. Then, the more advanced and powerful the demon that represented the desire would be. However, there was no accurate value for desire. So, Chen Zhao wasn't sure if he could contact the king of gluttony. Also, Chen Zhao was probably the only person in the world who would do something so crazy to contact the king of hell for a gray eye. Chen Zhao decided to solve other problems first. For example, a disaster-level evil spirit. At the moment, Chen Zhao was more inclined to be the cursed spirit that had appeared in Africa. However, Chen Zhao was troubled as to how to do it. After all, he had no idea where the spirit of cursing was hiding. Chen Zhao thought for a long time and decided to go to Africa tomorrow. Some people say that if you want to know whether a person is evil, just look at what he did in Africa. Some people go to Africa as volunteers to protect nature. Others, on the other hand, went to Africa to hunt for fun. This kind of hunting was not for survival, nor was it to solve the problem of food and clothing. As for challenging this fellow who was full of danger, the lion's simple mind was still very clear about it. So it decided to eat the food Chen Zhao stole. It didn't want to find confidence from Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao wasn't sure what the meat Chen Zhao tossed to the lion was, but it was definitely edible. Anyway, it was Chen Zhao's prey. The lion tore at the meat Chen Zhao tossed to it with big mouthfuls. The meat was very big, enough for it to have a full meal. It was its first full meal in 3 days. When it met Chen Zhao, it was prepared to fight to the death. To it, if it didn't eat today, it would face the threat of death. Fortunately, it had encountered Chen Zhao and not other people or predators. Chapter 2022. 20 minutes later, the young male lion had eaten about 50 kilograms of meat. This was probably the most satisfying meal of its life. Chen Zhao sat on a protruding rock and watched the lion. Pet owners all knew that watching their pets eat when they were feeding was actually a kind of enjoyment. This was an interaction between the owner and the pet. Chen Zhao didn't plan on bringing it back. It was mainly because it was already an adult. There were 2 cubs at home, Simba and Nana. If he really brought the lion back, Simba might be killed by it in the future. This was decided by their social form. It wasn't because they were evil or anything else. All Chen Zhao could do was feed it. I have to go back to work. I hope you can become the king of this grassland. Chen Zhao patted the lion lightly. The lion looked up at Chen Zhao's back. Chen Zhao didn't want to interact with it too much. Most of the time, volunteers on the African savanna would not come into contact with animals. Even if they needed to study animals, they would keep their distance most of the time. The problem with interacting with animals was that animals had a simple way of thinking. They felt that volunteers were good people, so they had the same attitude toward all humans. But not all the humans who came here were good people. If there were volunteers, there would be poachers. In the previous century, a volunteer had saved an African elephant. Because of this, he had many interactions with the elephant. Elephants are highly intelligent creatures. They're animals that know how to be grateful. So, the rescued elephant mistakenly thought that it could interact with humans. In the end, it was killed by poachers. This was the cruel truth. It was killed by a human it liked. This was not a single case. There were many precedents in the world. Among the most evil crimes that humans considered, poaching was the only one that didn't target humans. The others were drug trafficking, organ smuggling, and human trafficking. Poaching was a crime against animals, but it was more often a massacre and murder. Chen Zhao also didn't want to interact with the lion because of him. He wanted it to think that humans were all trustworthy. This was why Chen Zhao didn't interact with it too much. The lion chased after Chen Zhao. Suddenly, Chen Zhao emitted a strong aura of danger. The male lion's hair stood on end. It turned around and ran away. If this could make it develop the habit of hiding when it saw humans in the future, Chen Zhao's efforts didn't go to waste. Suddenly, a figure appeared before him. He was a big man wearing a vest, but his body exuded a majestic aura. Poacher, the big guy stared at Chen Zhao coldly. This big fellow was Malone, but he soon realized that Chen Zhao wasn't a poacher. After all, he didn't bring any equipment. Chen Zhao's clothes were even a little too casual. This gave Malone the wrong impression. This fellow was not walking at night on the dangerous African savanna, but taking a stroll in his own back garden. This guy was definitely not an ordinary person. While Marlin was studying Chen Zhao was also studying Marlin. They were judging each other based on their own habits and experiences. Unfortunately, they both treated each other as cultists. Chen Zhao saw red lines on Marlin's arms and body. These patterns were very similar to the Satanism he had encountered in the past. They borrowed the power of demons through similar patterns. Malone had a similar pattern on his body as well. Although they were slightly different, Chen Zhao felt that they were magic runes of the same type. Although there were slight differences, Chen Zhao felt that they were magic runes of the same type. Because of this, Chen Zhao thought that Marlin was a cultist. Apart from Chen Zhao's clothes, Marlin also thought that Chen Zhao was a cultist. It was also because Chen Zhao's eyes were shining, and he was definitely not one of the spiritualists in the settlement. Among the spiritualists in the settlement, black-haired and black-eyed Asians were easier to remember. Without thinking, Chen Zhao turned and ran. Of course, Marlin chased after him. After Chen Zhao turned and ran, he was even more certain of Chen Zhao's identity. He was definitely a cultist. Marlin must have discovered Chen Zhao's identity, which was why he panicked and lost his composure. Stop! Marlin suddenly pushed Chen Zhao to the ground. Right now, Chen Zhao looked very panicked. He raised his hand and aimed it at Marlin. An electric arc shot out from his palm. The electric arc struck Malone, but Malone only shuddered slightly. By now, he was completely sure that Chen Zhao was a cultist. Although there were quite a number of spiritualists in this gathering area, there were still quite a few of them, but none of them used thunder magic. Marlin raised his fist and punched Chen Zhao's face. Chen Zhao had to act like he was in pain. Then Marlin lifted the defenseless Chen Zhao up. This was also the first time someone had lifted Chen Zhao up. If you dare to attack me again, I'll break your limbs. No, I won't dare. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Right now, Chen Zhao was like a drama queen. His entire body was acting. Right now, Chen Zhao felt like a cowardly spiritualist. Marlin didn't notice anything. He seemed to really think that Chen Zhao had surrendered. But at this moment, a chill came from the shadows without warning. Marlin felt the sneak attack, but he didn't dodge. Instead, he took the attack head on. I knew that you cowards would have an ambush, Marlin snorted. Ambush. Chen Zhao was confused. Who was this third party that had suddenly appeared? Was it the group of managers that West had mentioned before? The sneak attack on Marlin was a black arrow. The black arrow hit Marlin's chest. It went in slightly. It only pierced the skin a little. Didn't you ask about my strength before ambushing me? Marlin snorted. Chen Zhao wanted to stand up, but Marlin stomped him back to the ground. This was the most embarrassing moment Chun Zhao had ever been in his career. "Don't move, or else I'll stomp your head into pieces." With his face on the ground, Chun Zhao looked at the black arrow that had failed his sneak attack. Chun Zhao smelled a pungent smell from the arrow. It was poisoned. Just then, a dozen or so people suddenly rushed out. Chun Zhao could see clearly that they weren't good people. They gave off an aura that Chun Zhao didn't like. Were they the cultists? Chun Zhao was confused, but he wasn't completely sure. He seemed to have gotten something wrong. Marlin seemed more like a good person, but the people who had ambushed him gave off a familiar aura. Chapter 2023. However, it didn't matter whether Marin was a good or bad person or whether they were cultists. His attitude was clear. He would pretend to be weak today. Marin's aura was strong, and his combat ability was off the charts. Every move was filled with violence. Chun Zhao saw his own shadow in Marlin. Their fighting styles were too similar. These cultists were here to die. Moreover, they were indeed determined to die. They knew that their job was to be cannon fodder. Moreover, they had done their jobs very dutifully. Marin tore the dozen cultists apart. The entire process was very easy. However, just then, Marin suddenly realized that the small wound on his chest was starting to turn black. It was just a small wound that had been infected by the poison. Now, the black poison had spread to a palm-sized area. Marin tried to force the poison out of his body. The black poison was being expelled bit by bit. But just then, the second wave of attacks came. Marin had to give up on forcing the poison out and fight again. However, the second wave of attacks was much fiercer than the first. Marin finally realized that something was wrong. He seemed to be affected by the black poison. His power was flowing out rapidly. Even though he had borrowed the power of the Nature Guardian, his power was still flowing out. This trap was too targeted at him. It wasn't that Marin hadn't faced danger in the past, but he could resolve it with his power every time. However, the trap this time was different from the past. This trap made it impossible for him to maintain his peak condition. The black poison wasn't a vicious poison. Instead, it was a poison that could drain one's power continuously. If it was a normal poison, Marin could use the power of the Nature Guardian to get rid of it. After all, the Nature Guardian was a poisonous dragon. There's almost no poison in the world that could threaten it. But almost didn't mean that there was none. And this poison was the perfect counter to Marin. What made Marin panic the most was that his body instinctively borrowed more than Nature Guardian's power. Because this was his contract with the Nature Guardian. When Marin started borrowing the Nature Guardian's power, the Nature Guardian's power would allow Marin to recover to his peak condition no matter what. But because of the poison, Marin's body was always weak. As the battle progressed, the poison spread throughout his body and he grew weaker and weaker. The amount of power he needed to borrow also increased. His body was like a bottomless pit. He was constantly borrowing the power of the Nature Guardian. At this moment, Malone finally realized something. This trap wasn't just for him. It was targeted at the Guardians of Nature. If he was given a stable environment, he could completely expel the black poison from his body. But now he couldn't calm down at all. The cultists surrounding him didn't give him any time to rest. Moreover, he did not intend to kill him directly. They wanted to use this method to torture Malone. At the same time, it would weaken the Nature Guardian. Oh no, Malone's in trouble. Terry Boyle suddenly knelt on the ground weakly. West hurriedly helped Terry up. What's wrong? I have a contract with Malone. This contract allows us to sense each other's condition. Terry Boyle's face was very pale. Malone is constantly borrowing my power. Under normal circumstances, he would have exploded from my power, but that didn't happen. I can feel his anxiety and fear. We can't wait any longer. We have to save Terry Boyle as soon as possible. But that's not part of our plan. Wes frowned. I have no other choice. Terry Boyle's face was very pale. West and the others had never seen Terry Boyd in such a weak state. Do you know where he is? Lord, I do. They seem to be heading in that direction. That direction seems to be the nest of the cursed spirits, Wes said solemnly. It looks like they are prepared. Under normal circumstances, we should just wait and see. Of course, this was the best choice on a tactical level. But Terry Boyle and Marlon had a deep relationship. Aside from their contract, Malone was also Terry Boyle's adopted son. Therefore, it was impossible for Terry Boyle to turn a blind eye to the danger Marlon was in. They had also made a deal with Terry Boyd. If you think it's dangerous, forget it. I'll take care of it myself. All right, stop talking, Wes said. I'll inform the others. We'll leave in half an hour. West, you don't have to pity me. Don't be bound by the contract. I'm the one who wants to take the risk this time. It's not within our contract. Even if you ignore it, I have nothing to say. I won't blame you. You're saying that on purpose, aren't you? You're making it harder for us to watch. West rolled his eyes at Terry. Gaia said, all right, no matter what danger it is, we don't care. Plus, we're looking forward to the challenge and danger. If we really encounter something we can't handle, we'll call our president, West said. Before that, let's set up a signal circuit in case the signal is blocked when we enter the cursed spirit's nest. Signal circuit was a military term. It was usually used in areas where the signal was blocked. Through a simple circuit, a signal could be sent back through a wired method. Then, communication could be achieved. Of course, this kind of signal circuit could only be used in a small area. After all, they couldn't carry too many large devices in a single operation. West gathered everyone in front of him and explained the situation to them. After being stubborn for so long, you've finally faced reality and are ready to compromise, Harold said calmly. We can't just stand by and do nothing about Terry's situation. However, this operation is extremely risky, so we must be fully prepared. West didn't want to ask Qin Zhao for help either, but sometimes stubbornness couldn't guarantee his and his companion's safety. In hot-blooded comics, people relied on their strong willpower and stubbornness to defeat their enemies. But in reality, it was almost impossible for that to happen. Their enemies couldn't just injure them, and they couldn't stand up again and again. Chapter 2024. Right now, Chun Zhao was sitting in the open-air compartment of a small truck. There were 3 cultists with him. Of course, there was also Malone, who was tied up tightly with magic ropes. Even so, Malone was so weak that he couldn't stand up. The black poison had already weakened him to the minimum. Fellow cultists. A cultist patted Chun Zhao's shoulder. Good job. If you didn't attract that guy's attention, our ambush wouldn't have succeeded. Unfortunately, my companions have all died. Chun Zhao cried silently. Chun Zhao worshipped his acting skills like crazy. The tears came out of nowhere. No, they've just returned to God's embrace, the cultist beside him said. It was great to have a bunch of cultists who didn't know him. Fortunately, Malone thought that Chun Zhao was a cultist, so the other cultists also thought that Chun Zhao was their companion. They thought that the suicide team had decided on their own. Chun Zhao would attract Malone's attention first and then ambush them. They even blamed Chun Zhao for Malone's poisoning. After all, the suicide team was dead. Chun Zhao was the only one left. No one would testify against him. Plus, Chun Zhao did deserve a lot of credit for their success this time. At least, that was what Chun Zhao thought too. Even so, the trap this time still cost the lives of at least 30 cultists. Even though Ma Long was poisoned, he still managed to kill more than 30 people. Even now, Chun Zhao still didn't know which god they believed in. Of course, this wasn't important. But Chun Zhao didn't want to expose himself. There were 2 small trucks in front and behind. They drove into a valley. There was no light at the bottom of the valley. A river about 10 meters wide flowed in the valley. However, the river seemed to have been completely polluted. Even so, there were still living things in the polluted river. However, the creatures that could survive in this magically polluted river were all twisted creatures. This was definitely a nightmare for ordinary people. Due to the terrain and the magic array, this place was completely isolated from the rest of the world. Even Chun Zhao's small world was blocked. When Chun Zhao was outside, he couldn't sense the situation in the valley at all. After entering, he couldn't sense the outside either. This place gave Chun Zhao a rather uncomfortable feeling. Malone's reaction was even more intense, and he began to vomit. The truck stopped. Chun Zhao and the cultist got off. Chun Zhao dragged Marlin out of the car. Sir, I bet you didn't expect our identities to be swapped like this. Marlin was in a sorry state, but he still gritted his teeth and looked up at Chun Zhao. Do you think you've won? Facts speak louder than words, don't they? Chun Zhao didn't plan to attack directly. The black poison these cultists used seemed to be very troublesome. Although he was immune to all poisons, he wasn't sure if this black poison would work on him. This was because some magical poisons were not necessarily classified as poisons. Therefore, he felt that he should be more cautious and find the antidote first. Give him to me. A cultist took Malone from Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao even waved enthusiastically and said goodbye to Marlin. When Marlin looked at Chun Zhao, his eyes were practically shooting out flames. The entrance was on a mountain wall. The entrance led to the lair of the vengeful spirit, which was underground. Chun Zhao walked along the tunnel and realized that it wasn't very stuffy here. In fact, it felt a bit cold. Rough tools had been used to chisel the path. It wasn't as smooth or bright as the bases or labs Chun Zhao had been to in the past. There were torches along the way, but there were always some shadows of potholes. There were many snakes here. They hid in the shadows. Occasionally, they would make hissing sounds. When Chun Zhao entered the lair of the cursed spirit, he saw a hill made of skulls. From top to bottom, the hill was piled up like a pyramid. There were probably millions of skulls here. Even though Chun Zhao had seen many big scenes, he was still shocked by this super view. However, these skulls were from different ages. Some were brand new, while others were very old and black. Don't stare for too long. Death will swallow you, newbie. Chun Zhao seemed to be really entranced. He didn't even know when someone had come to him. He was a white-haired old man. He wasn't black, but his skin was very dark as if he'd been exposed to the sun. Chun Zhao could feel a surging vitality in him, but it was very strange. He probably had some kind of ability that allowed him to absorb vitality from others. However, this vitality didn't belong to him. He had to use his own magic to suppress the life that he'd stolen. Chun Zhao had seen quite a few of these evil spells. The old man's methods weren't very clever, but they were very despicable. However, he had to admit that this kind of spell was very powerful. It was like a robber robbing a bank. The money couldn't be used normally, but there would always be unorthodox ways for the robber to squander it. You have no respect for death. You're not devout. The old man looked at Chun Zhao. Had he been seen through? Chun Zhao was secretly on guard, planning to attack. Those who join us are not pure believers. We don't reject believers who have other motives. As long as you can show your value, money, women, power, or even power, you can get whatever you want. But if you are worthless, then you will become a sacrifice. I just did a good deed, sir. Chun Zhao lowered his head, appearing very humble. I hope to be rewarded. Oh, tell me about your deed. We captured Marone and successfully poisoned him. Our plan succeeded. I didn't do anything in the battle, but Marone was poisoned. I'm the biggest contributor. Oh, Marone's already been captured. Good, very good. Ha! The old man laughed. You did well. You deserve a reward. What do you want? Chun Zhao licked his lips, looking very greedy. Everything. Be it power, money, or women, I want all. Chun Zhao felt that the more greedy he was, the more difficult it would be to expose himself. Your deed is great, but it's not enough. Come with me to receive your reward. These are the poison and antidote for the plague. The deathly poison man handed 2 bottles to Jin. The red one is the antidote, and the black one is the poison. Of course, Jin would not believe deathly poison man's words. Jin caught another cultist from next door to test the poison. It was indeed a symptom of the plague. After using the antidote, Jin was sure that the antidote worked. Jin was not in a hurry to act. Instead, he wandered around the nest. He had to admit that there were all kinds of cultists here. Moreover, many of them were quite strong. They even had their own awareness. They knew what they were doing. Actually, there were many cultists like Jin who wandered around. There were even some evil cultists who walked around with the sole purpose of killing. Killing was not forbidden here, nor was it forbidden to kill each other. As long as one was strong and capable, killing each other was allowed. Although to Jin, this was completely inhumane. Nevertheless, this attitude reduced the possibility of Jin being found out. Anyone could be killed here. Suddenly, there was a huge cave entrance in front of him. There was even a wooden fence at the entrance. It looked different from the other caves. Jin walked to the entrance and heard screams coming from inside. Jin walked into the cave without realizing it. He saw Malone being tied up. 2 cultists were torturing him with magic. In just a short period of time, Marin was already covered with cuts and bruises. Jin recognized one of the torturers. When he saw Jin, he stared at him coldly. "This is not a place you should be, but I'm already here. What should I do?" "Get out." Jin walked up and grabbed the cultist's neck. "Sorry, I don't know how to get out." "You." Jin tossed the corpse on the ground. Another cultist saw Jin kill someone here. He immediately yelled, "Why are you doing this? Even if you have a grudge against him, you shouldn't do it here." Jin raised his finger and pointed at the second cultist. Seeing this, the cultist immediately cast a defensive spell. An electric snake shot out from Jin's fingertip and pierced through the cultist's head. Rubbing his chin, Jin smiled at Malone. Malone raised his head weakly and looked at Jin. Jin walked up and pinched Malone's chin. Ignoring his struggles, he stuffed the antidote into his mouth. Then, Jin turned and left. Malone thought that Jin was feeding him poison again, but he soon realized that his injured body was rapidly recovering. Was it the antidote? Malone's face was filled with shock. By now, he had enough power. Malone broke the magic ropes that bound his hands and feet. Malone chased out of the cave, but Jin had already disappeared. What was that guy's goal? Malone didn't understand. Malone felt his body's condition. He was recovering faster than he imagined. Marlin tapped his forehead with his finger. He had a very close contract with Terry Boyle. They could communicate from a distance. "Lord Boyle, I'm free. I've brought West and the others to the cursed spirit's nest. We're coming in disguised as cultists. Lord Boyle, this is a trap for you." "I know. How are you now? Are you in danger?" "I was saved by a cultist, but I'm not sure if he has any ill intentions. I don't understand his intentions. My poisoning was largely related to him, but he just killed 2 of his companions and gave me the antidote. I'm worried that they have a bigger plan, and that's not a good thing. I think you should leave this place now," Fupin Chinese said. Chapter 2027. "Even if it's a trap, I'm not afraid," Terry Boyle said. Terry Boyle said, "The grudge between me and the spirit of vengeance should come to an end. Moreover, he dared to attack you." Terry Boyle was furious. In his eyes, Marlin was his family. Now his family was hurt. This was a vendetta that would not end until one of them died. Of course, even without this, Terry Boyle would still make the same choice. At this moment, the cultists noticed Terry Boyle and the others. This was understandable. After all, this was a deliberate trap for Terry Boyle. Therefore, the spirit of cursed and the cultists had been waiting for Terry. A large number of cultists launched a suicide attack on Terry and the supernatural organization. "Go ahead and fight," Terry Boyle said. "Marlin is free now, so my power is starting to recover." With Terry Boyle's words, everyone felt more at ease. To be honest, they would rather have Terry fight. They wouldn't send a distress signal to Chun Zhao, especially West. Every time he talked to Chun Zhao would ask if he needed help. Each time, West would proudly say no. West felt that if he asked Chun Zhao for help this time, he would lose all his dignity. Boom, boom, boom. Chun Zhao looked up and heard a familiar voice. It was hard not to notice Jalin Ash's exaggerated entrance. Jalin Ash plunged into the lair of the cursed spirits. She didn't care where her teammates were. She just wanted to kill to her heart's content. After all, her spell of mass destruction was a lethal weapon. Jalin Ash floated above the nest. A small sun descended from the sky and blasted the bottom of the nest. Rumble. After a huge explosion, the entire nest shook. Chun Zhao was also affected by the huge shockwave. The flames engulfed him. However, this kind of impact was no threat to him. He was more concerned about Jallanash's safety. Jallanash was too impulsive. Moreover, this place was filled with all kinds of dangers. Chun Zhao had circled around for a few hours. He knew very well how dangerous this place was. The attacks of the cultists were often unpredictable, and Jallanash indulged in unbridled destruction. This put her in danger unknowingly. At this time, another loud noise came from the entrance of the nest. Gaia also charged in. "Jocelyn Nash, you're too impulsive," Gaia said reproachfully. "Gaia, don't worry. These pieces of trash can't hurt me at all." Girls of Jallanash's age didn't like to be nagged by adults. He moved and flew to the front of the cave. Then he released hundreds of small fireballs directly into the cave. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying flames and heat waves rushed out of the cave. Just as Jallanash was about to fly away, a rope shot out from the flames and wrapped around her ankle. Oh no! Seeing Jallanash in danger, Gaia immediately went to save her. But at that moment, a few cultists held Gaia back, preventing her from saving Jallanash immediately. Jallanash was dragged into the cave. While being dragged, Jallanash released a wind blade at the rope around her ankle. But the rope was clearly enchanted, and Jallanash's wind blades had no effect on it. Delicious, delicious girl. A cultist licked his lips. He wore a bright red robe, and behind him stood a body made of fire elements. This flame body was an elemental agitator, a type of fire element. It was because of this that Jallanash's bombardment had been ineffective. Flustered, Jallanash shot another spell at the cultist, but it was blocked by the agitator. Ropes shot out from the cultist's sleeves. The ropes danced under the cultist's control. A dozen ropes suddenly shot toward Jallanash. Oh no! Instinctively, Jallanash covered her face. But the next moment, she saw a hand appear behind her and grab the ropes. Jallanash turned around and was shocked to see Chun Zhao standing behind her. Chun Zhao pulled the ropes over and pulled the cultist before him. Then he smashed his head. Seeing that his summoner was killed, the agitator charged at Chun Zhao in a frenzy. An electric snake shot out from Chun Zhao's finger and pierced through the agitator. The agitator's body collapsed and exploded. President, why are you here? Is this how you usually fight? Ignoring West's strategy? Charging around like this? Do you think you're invincible? You shouldn't have made them worry, Chun Zhao said coldly. President, I was wrong. You should apologize to them. Chun Zhao suddenly looked outside. Guy is here. Don't let them know I'm here. With that, Chun Zhao went into hiding. Jallanash was speechless. They'd agreed not to attack. In the end, Chun Zhao still snuck over. Jallanash, how are you? Are you okay? Gaia looked at the headless corpse on the ground and the scattered bloodstains around it. Clearly, the cultist's head had been smashed by a tremendous force. I'm fine. Gaia, let's go out. Jallanash knew that she'd definitely be scolded and punished this time. However, if Chun Zhao was exposed, then Chun Zhao's revenge would be even more severe. Gaia looked around the cavern. Then, she took a deep breath and suddenly spat out dragon breath at the shadows in the cave. Rumble, Gaia, what are you doing? Nothing. I just feel like there's a bug hiding here. Gaia shrugged and turned to leave with Jallanash. Don't act recklessly. You're not as strong as Chun Zhao. Got it. What could Jallanash say? No matter how impatient she was, she didn't dare to retort near Chun Zhao. If she made Chun Zhao angry, he'd probably spank her without caring where they were. At this time, everyone had already killed their way into the lair of the cursed spirits. However, Chun Zhao still hadn't seen the spirit appear. This guy was really a coward. Someone was already at his door, but he still didn't show up. How cowardly was he? Chun Zhao sat quietly in one of the caves and watched as his people destroyed the place. To be honest, they were like the demolition workers. Their destructive power was superb. Just then, a figure appeared before Chun Zhao. Malone looked at Chun Zhao, who was sitting at the entrance of the cave with all sorts of snacks and beer on the ground. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.